Good evening. Call this regular meeting of the Fairborn City Schools Board of Education to order, Thursday, May 2nd, 2019. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mr. Philo, call the roll, please.
Mr. Wilson.
Here.
Mr. Browning.
Here.
Mr. McCourt.
Here.
Mrs. Malad.
Here.
Ms. Reister.
Here.
Okay, I have a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Browning.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. McCourt. Any additions, corrections? Okay,
Mr. Browning.
Yes.
Mr. McCourt.
yes.
Mrs. Malad.
Yes.
Ms. Reister.
Yes.
Mr. Wilson.
Yes, motion carries. And a motion to approve the minutes of the Thursday, April 4th regular meeting.
So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Reister.
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Malad. Any additions, corrections, comments?
Ms. Reister.
Yes.
Mrs. Malad.
Yes.
Mr. McCourt.
Yes.
Mr. Browning.
Yes.
Mr. Wilson.
Yes, motion carries. Okay, item 6, board reports and good of the order. Mr. McCourt.
Oh, okay. It's been a busy few weeks. I was able to attend some girls' volleyball games, some boys' baseball games, some tennis tournaments, tennis matches. Was able to watch, I think I went to Wright State to watch the Flag Corps over there. Attended the Hall of Honor the other night, which was a great program. Last night we had
Top scholar.
Top Scholar. I couldn't remember. Last night we had Top Scholar, and great program there. Big turnout, and what a nice program that is. And just like to pass along thank you to our cafeteria people for putting on a big spread, and of course staff here at Fairborn High School and others that came to serve not only the board but the kids and their parents. But and what we did, the board members kind of scattered themselves around to other tables, and were able to sit down and talk to kids and parents, and we don't get enough of that. So and that was a real fine evening. I attended at 3 o'clock this afternoon a Hall of Fame meeting on the athletic side. Some new folks being nominated. You don't know how long it's been since you've been in high school until you start hearing a lot of these old names. But they do come back, and working with some partners here in the city, trying to look at plans for down the road for new high school and junior high. So, been a busy couple weeks, but enjoyable, and that's all I have, Mr. President. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Reister.
Well, spring sports are wrapping up. Track teams have done very well. Softball teams have done good. The middle school softball team has their GWAC tournament on Saturday. So if they win the first one, they go on to the second one. So that's a big deal. So root for them on Saturday. Hall of Honor, had the pleasure to meet and talk with our inductees, all with fascinating stories. So if you haven't had the time to read their stories, you should. And in the back of the program, there is a nice little history on the schools from Fairfield and Osborne, which I found interesting as well. Again, last night, Top Scholar. Might be a little biased because my senior was there, but it's a great event. It's good for the students to see each other's successes throughout the years, and it's awesome to see a nice group on the stage with all 4 years of Top Scholar. So it's a nice honor. It's a nice evening, so I appreciate that. And then coming up this Saturday, they have music in the parks, so the 8th graders will be at Kings Island, 7th and 8th grade, performing and competing, and then they will go on to spend the day at Kings Island as kind of a reward. So wish them safe travels and good luck in their competition.
Thank you. Mrs. Malad?
I have nothing to add. These two did it all.
Okay, Mr. Browning?
Yeah, they covered a lot of the same topics I was going to talk about, just add a couple things. Mary talked about our sports teams doing well. Our baseball team's actually in first place, 2 games ahead with like 2 games left. So they got a good shot of winning the GWAC. Our tennis team won the GWAC. So they had one of the best records they've had forever, and I was able to go to senior night and watch them. And it's exciting to watch them play. We've got some good tennis players. They mentioned Hall of Honor, top scholar. The only other thing I'd like to add, well, I wanted to specifically mention Joshua Green in track. He's got the best long jump in the area so far this year. And we've got a bunch of track athletes that are in the top 3 in the area, so that's pretty neat to see. And then May 17th is Jazz Fest, so that's a good event where you get to see the talent in our jazz band, our improv, and those types of things. So if you get a chance, get a ticket and come to Jazz Fest in 2 weeks. That's it.
Okay. Yeah, they've talked about a lot of the things I was going to cover. Attended Mr. Philo's first Citizens Financial Review Committee meeting where he passed out this brochure, and about maybe 20 people in attendance, broad spectrum of people from the community, and some very surprised people about issues like how much it costs to run the district, how we compare with other districts in the area. It was a very good session, and I think opened a lot of eyes, and it'd be good to resume that in September. Also attended Hall of Honor and Top Scholar. It was interesting last night at Top Scholar, the gentleman that was sitting next to us was just so enthused about his daughter winning the award. She also happens to have 3 pieces of artwork out here on the back. And so when we were up here at the reception, he said, "Oh, come look at this too." And so that was a great thing. As part of my legislative liaison duties with the board here, about 3 years ago, the legislature snuck through in the very last day of their legislative session, House Bill 70, which was a takeover of what they determined to be failing school districts, and it started with the Youngstown district. And this places a CEO in charge of the district with complete powers to basically run the district however he or she so chooses, including terminating contracts with people, essentially removing almost all of the authority from the elected Board of Education. And there are currently 3 districts that are covered under this, Youngstown, Lorain, and East Cleveland. And none of the districts have shown any substantial improvement since doing this. So yesterday, the House passed by a margin of 83 to 12, House Bill 154, which is a repeal of this item. And it now goes to the Senate. I've already been in contact with Senator Hackett and Senator Lehner to support this version of the House. Would also be a good idea to contact Senate President Obhoff on that. Complimented Rick Perales on his yes vote on that. So, House Bill 70 is, as I mentioned there, it's undemocratic because it removes the authority of the locally elected school board. It's unaccountable because the CEO doesn't account, he doesn't report to anybody. He's basically is a dictator. And it's really unacceptable because it's largely, well, every school district that they've taken over is 95% plus poverty and very high non-white student ratio. So it's not a good piece of legislation. So I urge all of you to contact Senator Hackett, Senator Lehner, and Senator Obhoff and get them to get on board with basically having the Senate version of the bill mirror House Bill 154. So that's it from me. So we will move on to recognition of visitors and public comments. If there's anybody that wishes to address the board, please step up to the microphone over here, state your name and address.
Well, Mary, this might be a subject of interest to you. I'm going to read from a statement I made.
Your name and address, please?
Yeah, I'm going to give you that.
Okay.
Good evening. My name is John Dishert. I don't live in this district, but my daughter does. She lives right across the street from the board on Winston. I'm a military retiree, and I'm here to speak on behalf of my granddaughter, Alexis Newman, a graduating senior at Fairborn High School. She currently attends class at Wright State University in the CC Plus program, and I'd like to commend your support for that program, very important. She has maintained a 4.0 grade point and will complete 28 semester hours in her first year attending Wright State. Quite an accomplishment in my mind as her grandfather. She currently is third in the class of 2019 at Fairborn High School and was honored in this building last night as a 4-year top scholar, which we've heard mentioned several times tonight. You're probably wondering why I'm bringing this to your attention. Currently, Alexis is third in her class, so she cannot be named as a salutatorian in the class of 2019 per your policy limits. This designation to 1 unless there's a tie. This is the policy that I would like to see you see reviewed and possibly changed. I did not have time to get a consensus of surrounding school districts, but was surprised to learn that Beaver Creek High School awards 10 salutatorians, and all will make graduating speeches. To me, this is the heart of the issue. We have a school district, Beaver Creek, that has a median income of $82,000, offering 10 students the opportunity to receive scholarships due to this designation. Wright State, as an example, offers a half ride for someone who graduates as a salutatorian, whereas Fairborn, with a median income of $41,000, offers only one of their graduating class a chance to achieve such an award. This award, in my opinion, would be something that costs Fairborn school systems nothing and could be a life-changing benefit to a student's future and the community as a whole. So what I'm suggesting is that the policy should be reviewed. I'd like to see it changed to increase the number of students to be awarded the designation of salutatorian. This would be a net positive for the Fairborn community, and I'd like to thank you at this time for listening to me and hope in some way I've persuaded you to examine this policy, consider its change. I know it would make a difference to one family, mine.
Thank you.
Thank
for
you.
bringing that to our attention.
Yeah, thank you.
Something very easy. Doesn't cost the district a penny, but would help a lot of people.
We like those.
Is it something you consider?
Honestly, I had no idea that that was even an issue. So, I mean,
Yeah.
I was sincere in my appreciation
Yeah.
for you bringing that to our attention. It's definitely something we'll take a look at.
She's third, and
Yeah,
it would make a huge difference. My
we
daughter
can,
is not.
we can discuss it.
Well,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ann Foster, Fairborn. I wasn't going to speak tonight, but I think I should because we need to give Mary Reister a round of applause. She's sponsoring a fundraiser Saturday night at Fairborn Senior Center for Honor Flight. As a person who works on Honor Flight and has been on it, I think she's to be commended because all the money raised will go to for veterans to go on our flight, so. Thank you.
Thank you, Ann.
Thank you, Ann.
Ann, we appreciate you.
You said that just like Mary told you.
Anybody else have anything good to say about Mary while we're here?
Anybody else? Okay, seeing no one, we'll close recognition of visitors and move on to school district presentations. Mr. Lally?
Good evening, everybody. The board members earlier talked about a lot of some of the high school successes this time of the year. It is with great excitement that I am going to recognize 5 of our elementary students here tonight. They're not here, but we're going to pay homage to them. There are 3 Fairborn Intermediate students that will be featured in the 2020 Child Abuse Prevention Calendar. Congratulations are in store, as I said, for the 3 students from the Fairborn Intermediate. They have been selected as winners in our annual Child Abuse Prevention Art Contest. Fairborn Intermediate will receive matching cash prizes equal to those that will be awarded to those students. Congratulations are in order to Autumn Blagg, Natalie Nolan, and Cindy Regato, and their families on this outstanding achievement. And believe me, on behalf of the Fairborn Board of Education, we congratulate all 3 of those students, and we're very proud of you. The students attended, along with myself, a blue ribbon breakfast on Wednesday, April the 24th. As I said, their artwork will be featured in our 2020 Child Abuse Prevention Calendar, and that will be available later this summer. Earlier today, Pam Gayhart and I attended another luncheon recognition to 2 of our students, and we had 2 more students from the Fairborn Intermediate School that were nominated for the AAA Patroller of the Year. The students, as I said, attended the banquet today at the Dayton Convention Center, and those nominees were Abigail Medlin and Matthew Wardle. Again, congratulations to those outstanding students, and thank you for all you do to keep the Fairborn Intermediate students safe every morning and every night. They are out there as patrol guards, making sure our kids cross the street safely, stopping cars, making sure they're not coming in the wrong entrance. And these are 5th and 6th graders that do this. So speaking from experience, I did that in the 60s. I was a patrol boy. So
Same
so
here.
was Mr. Fisher, you said, I think?
Yes.
So that is neat that they were nominated for that. So we had certificates for those 5 students. I will see that they get these tomorrow in person. I will go to the intermediate and make sure they get these. Again, congratulations. This is an exciting time of the year because it's a culmination of a lot of things, and that's why we're in this business. We're in this business for kids, and it seems like night after night, and that's good that we are recognizing the achievements of our students here in Fairborn City Schools.
The calendar is full in May of
That's
all
right.
kinds of events and concerts
Yes.
and award ceremonies.
All right, next up is just a brief construction update. Last month, I showed you pictures of the primary. Now they have, I think, all 4 walls of the gymnasium are enclosed, and there are 2 new walls that are going up in the last week or so. It would be just to the south and west of the gymnasium. So if you've been by there this past week, a little bit more is happening each month that I report to you. As I might have stated last month or the month before, we seem to be on schedule, but in the last month with the rain, I think, according to our reports that we go to every Friday with the construction company, Monarch Construction, they are about 3 to 4 weeks behind. We've had a lot of rain. We had some rain this week, a little bit of rain today, but not a lot. But I think they still got some things done. Rain tomorrow, so we'll get a better update. Yeah, we'll get a better update tomorrow as our weekly construction updates. So again, maybe 3 to 4 weeks behind. Any questions? Okay. Good. Okay. Well, we do have one of the students here that we just recognized, and it is Cindy Regato, and we want to recognize her for her artwork.
Run in, run out.
That's right. Perfect.
Good deal.
All right, Mr. Philo,
Um,
no disco.
No disco. No music yet. It gives me good pleasure to present to the board the updated 5-year forecast for submission to the state of Ohio. As you know, school districts are required to submit these in the fall and then update them if there's any substantial changes in the spring. I'm pleased to have some changes that we went over in terms of some of our revenues are coming in above where they were in the past, and even makes things more stable. About the fourth page in, you'll see a page that looks like this. The items in yellow are changes from what was in the fall, and you can see 3 of the major changes are in the revenues. The income tax is coming in slightly higher than we projected. The other local receipts and the other state is coming in. So those highlights, in terms of if they changed this year, then it also helps us positively for the future in terms of our ending cash balance. Down at the bottom, the only revenue changes there are some new numbers for our vision, some things that we're implementing this year and next year. We've updated those numbers to include all those changes, and very positive that we're financially stable. We're looking at ending cash balance this year of right around 29 million. And the one thing I need to point out on this is there is no forecasted revenue changes for the state of Ohio yet. The Columbus legislature is considering a couple of proposals. One is Governor DeWine's, the other is the Cupp-Patterson. So those are not reflected on here, but we anticipate that both of those scenarios are positive to Fairborn schools, and hopefully be able to update the board on that in June or July. So that would make these numbers even more positive. I'm not going to go through this in great detail. If we'll flip through the slides, basically we've updated the revenues, and these are the same slides I used with Monday's citizens group. You've seen these in the past. Expenditures in terms of the same way. And the ending cash balances are slightly different. You'll see that we're trailing off a little bit, but this is normal in schools, is you build up cash and you'll spend down cash. And the great part is if you can make that roller coaster a little less steep, and that's always our goal. Finally, we've updated the total receipts and expenses that our fiscal year 19, our net receipts over expenditures is plus $3.5 million. So that's a very positive thing to be. But you will see in the future they will cross paths, and then they'll start to deviate. At that point, we'll need to look at where our cash is and what we need to do with the levy, et cetera. So with that, if there's any questions from the board. Thank you.
Good. Thank you, Mr. Philo.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll move on to item 9, Budget and Finance, recommendation of approval of the monthly financial report, the 5-year forecast, and disposal of some assets, a couple of buses and some small miscellaneous items, a microwave and a slicer. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Browning. Thank you, Ms. Reister. Any questions or comments about these?
The financial report I could have classified as a thing of beauty, but I did not want to do that 2 months in a row, so thank you. Mr. Browning,
Yes.
Ms. Reister,
Yes.
Mr. McCourt,
Yes.
Mrs. Malad,
Yes.
Mr. Wilson.
Yes, motion carries. Okay, administrative reports and superintendent recommendations. Most largely is routine contract approvals and annuals, things that are just happen at this time of year. But on the top of, and this goes through page 8. At the top of page 8, it is recommended by the superintendent to approve the employment of Brian McKnight as Fairborn High School principal per the terms of the attached contract. Mr. McKnight was going to be here tonight, but he had an obligation, an award he was receiving in Columbus, so he's unable to join us for that tonight. And then we have some gifts and donations to acknowledge. Mr. McCourt, would you?
Oh, absolutely, be glad to. Superintendent would like to gratefully accept the following gifts and donations. From Jamie's Tire and Service, $100 to the athletic department. Marcel Lumpkin, is that Mucha? $25 to the athletic department. And our friend, old friend and family, Bill Nebus, $100 to the athletic department. We thank you for those gifts and donations.
Yes, definitely. Okay, may I have a motion? Thank you, Ms. Reister.
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Malad. Any additional questions or comments on any of these items?
No.
Okay.
Mr. President, I would just like to, as far as our new high school principal, I really am happy the way we're going about hiring, some of these people that we're hiring. We're asking staff in some of the buildings to get together with us and form a little group or committee, trimming down candidates from maybe 8 to 5 to 3 or however it goes. But I really think it's good because the people that are really having to work with, in this case, Mr. McKnight, were there. We're able to talk to Mr. McKnight and, come to this decision. So, I mean, I think it's a great thing we're doing. Superintendent and everybody else out of Mr. Walker's department maybe, but everybody seems to be real happy with this type of a format where it's kind of a buy-in because the board doesn't work with him. The people in our staff in the buildings do. So just thank you, Gene, and all those people for doing that for us.
Okay, I might also mention here on page 8 that there's the purchase of 4 new school buses as part of our ongoing replacement cycle for the school buses and an authorization for membership in the Ohio Athletic Association for next year. So, okay.
Do we have another student who's being
Is that Natalie or Autumn?
Yeah. Let's go ahead and vote on
Yeah.
this.
All right.
You may call the roll, Mr.
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead, call the roll.
Ms. Reister,
Yes.
Mrs. Malad,
Yes.
Mr. McCourt,
Yes?
Mr. Browning,
Yes.
Mr. Wilson.
Yes, motion carries.
Yeah, before, let's find
Yeah.
out if she gets in.
Yeah. We may have another
Recognition.
recognition.
Okay.
Okay.
Awesome.
All right,
Bring her up.
come on up.
That's
Oh,
good.
it's all,
No,
it's all good.
that's awesome.
We're just glad you made it. Oh,
Okay.
oh, okay.
We're glad you came. They're gonna make you watch it.
Yeah.
No way to get a picture.
We'll get another one.
We're holding you prisoner. You want to get this one first?
Okay, we're gonna picture. Yeah, one more, so.
Stay there because we're gonna get one. Yeah, one more.
Okay, who do we have?
Let's take a quick break.
Oh.
Got Papa John's. What's happening? You're slacking,
Because I didn't have my blue on.
a little bit. A little bit, You win. Come on up. Because he looks good in that color.
Gene, you have another
Yes, I did.
Where you're at. You have to shake all of our hands, too. I'm gonna put you on the spot. Right, you
We'll take your picture.
Wait, there you go.
We'll get a picture.
Just gonna add them in.
The Board of Education will take a quick 3-minute break, and then we'll have a work session. And then we reserve the right to go into executive session if needed. But other than that, probably no further action.